Hello and welcome back to Get Great at Maths. I'm here to help you pass your maths exam, so hit that like and subscribe button. We're going to look at keywords, key formulas and how to gain top marks. So let's get ready to get great at maths. So here were the topics that I predicted would come up on paper 2 and paper 3. Out of these topics, only these two came up on paper 2. That means the remaining topics could come up on paper 3. So I'm going to get rid of these and show you what it's going to look like now. Now, all these topics didn't appear on paper 1 or paper 2, so they could come up on paper 3. So these are all the topics that you need to make sure you know how to do for the exam that is coming up next week. So these are the ratio and proportion topics. Now, they can mix ratio and proportion into a lot of different topics. So they like to use ratio and proportion across a variety of different topics. So these are the majority of the topics that are likely to have the ratio and proportion in. So make sure you look through the exam questions that I've prepared for you, which link to each of these topics. It's got the exam question, it's got the mark scheme. If you want me to show you how to go through any question in more detail, then just comment below. But this is the majority of the ratio stuff that is still yet to come. So good luck in the exam. Make sure you revise hard and you'll be absolutely fantastic. You've got this. Now, the first topic, we've got compound interest, growth and decay, and being able to work it out in reverse. And this was worth 3 marks. So have a go at working out the answer to this question. Make sure you know where your keywords are in the question, and then have a go at answering it. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think about it, read through the information, press pause, and then press play when you're ready to hear the answer. So if you need a little bit of a hint, keywords in the question are at the end of the first year, it decreased by 12.5%, decreased by 10% for the next 2 years, and at the end of 3 years, it was worth £17,010. You've got to work out the value after 3 years, or it was bought. So bought it 3 years ago, you've got to work out the price. So the answer was 24,000. So make sure you know how to do this. Over on the right hand side, this is the method mark for the question. P1 is a process mark, so it's just a method mark. And then OE means or equivalent. And the CAO means correct answer only. So you have to get this answer correct exactly to get the full 3 marks for this question. Okay, comment below to let me know how you did. And hopefully you managed to be able to answer that question. If you need any hints or tips, then just comment below. Now this is a compound measure and speed converting question from kilometres per hour into metres per second. 3 marks. Have a go at answering the question. Press pause when you're ready to hear the answer. So keywords, we've got 180 kilometres per hour and you're converting it into metres per second. The answer was 50 and this was worth 3 marks. M1 here is a method mark, so you've got 2 method marks here, and A1 is an answer mark. This CAO means correct answer only, so you had to get the correct answer for 50 to get the full 3 marks for this in the exam. Again, comment below, let me know how you got on with this question, let me know what your answer was and how you did. Now this question is compound measure and looking at pressure. Normally in the exam they will give you this formula, so they've written on the right hand side that pressure is equal force divided by area, but you should know this formula just in case, and you can use the units to help you because you've got newtons divided by meters seconds, so force is measured in newtons divided by, which is this divided by sign here, meters squared, which is the area, so you can see that the pressure is force divided by area just from looking at the information in the question. Have a go at reading the question, pause and then press play when you've got yourself an answer. Comment below to let me know what your value of X is. Fantastic, thanks for those comments. Hopefully you've managed to get the correct answer. So the correct answer, once we've looked at the keywords, so we've got a cuboid, so remember the volume of a cuboid or the area of the side is length times width. The volume of a cuboid is the 3 sides times together. You've got the force is told here, and you've got the pressure, and then it's in contact with a rectangle. So this rectangle is really important. So the cuboid is not so important because we're only looking at the 2D shape because we're looking at an area rather than a volume. So you've got 1.2 and x, so 1.2 times x gives you the area. So you've got to put all those values into this formula to work out what the value of x is. So hopefully you came up with 0.8. Remember, P1 is a process mark. CAO is correct answer only. This is the methods here. If you want to hear how to do this question in more detail, please comment below and I can do the full work solutions for you. So this is a question linking speed, distance and time. So again, you should know your formula for speed, distance, time. It's exactly the same formula that you use in physics. So it goes between the two subjects and make sure you know it. Press pause, have a go at working out the answer. Press play when you're ready to hear the answer. Fantastic work. So hopefully we've got some information. So keywords, you've got 15 minutes is an average speed of 6 miles per hour. 40 minutes is 9 miles per hour. And you've got 45 minutes to run the same total distance. Work out the average speed. Give your answer in miles per hour. So hopefully you came up with the answer 10. This P1 here means a process mark, so there are 4 process marks here available, and CAO means you need the correct answer only, so this must be exactly the correct answer to get the method marks. Comment below to let me know how you did on the question. Well done. So we're looking at direct and inverse proportional graphs. So this question here, you need to know what the shape of the graphs are. So you've got a direct proportional graph and an inverse proportional graph. Make sure you know the shapes of these two graphs. Press pause, have a go at sketching them out, then press play when you're ready to hear the answer. Fantastic. So keywords, you're doing a sketch. Even though it's a sketch, you should still use a pencil and ruler if it's a straight line. And freehand should be just using a pencil to draw those lines. You've got directly proportional and then inversely proportional. So the mark scheme says the correct graph sketched. C1 means a communication mark, so you've drawn the correct thing. So basically what you should have drawn from here, 0 directly proportional, as x gets bigger, y gets bigger. So that means if x is nothing, y is nothing, so it goes through 0, 0, and it's a straight line coming up here in the middle. That's what you should have drawn for the first one. The next one, inversely proportional, means as one thing gets bigger, the other thing gets smaller. So that goes the opposite way. So it's a curve coming this way down like that. As you can see where the cursor's going, it's a curve between the two axes like that. Okay, if you've got those correct, give yourself a big tick. Well done. Comment below, let me know which graph you knew and which one you didn't. So this question is on exchanging money. So you're looking at converting between units. So make sure you've highlighted your keywords in the question. Have a go at answering the question. It's worth 4 marks, and then press pause when you play when you're ready to hear the answer again. So fantastic. So your keywords, you've got €27 for 18 litres, £40.80 for 8 gallons, and €1 is 85p. 4.5 litres is 1 gallon. Thinks that the petrol is cheaper in Spain than in Wales. If you're correct, and you must show how you got your answer. So it's worth 4 marks. You will not get the 4 marks if you do not show your answer. So what answer you should have got? You should have got the answer no, and supported means you must show you're working out. These P1s, these are all process marks, so there are 3 process marks here. C1 is a communication mark for the final answer, saying no and giving the correct reason with the figures. You can see the figures down here. Make sure you give the correct reason, otherwise you will not get the full marks in the exam. Comment below, let me know how you found this question and what you found. Now this is a question expressing one number as a percentage of another, but it is linked in with ratio. So you can clearly see the ratio within here. You've got some percentages in here. It is worth 5 marks. You need to make sure you know how to get all 5 marks for this in the exam. Press pause, have a go at answering the question, then press play when you're ready to hear the answer. You've got 6 tins in a small box. So these are key bits of information in the question. 20 tins in a large box. You've got 3,000 tins into the boxes, and small boxes to large boxes is in a ratio 2:3. It says there's less than 30% of the boxes filled with tins are large boxes. Is Carlo correct? You must show your working. Press pause if you haven't done so already and then work out your answer. Fantastic work. You should have got the answer of no, and you can see here where the 5 marks are awarded. This supported means you must show your working and give reasons, otherwise you'll not get 5 marks for just writing the answer no. You must show why, which is all this information here to get the full 5 marks. This C1 is a communication mark, this P1 is a process mark, so make sure you know where the marks are awarded on the question. Now in this question, it's called fraction of amount, yet you can clearly see it's a ratio question as well. So you've got ratio in this question here, you've got some fractions, you've got some percentages, they all link together, and it's quite a wordy question and it's worth 5 marks in the exam. So don't be put off just because you see a lot of words in here. Look at each bit of information carefully, highlight the key bits that you need, do each bit step by step, and you'll get through to the right answer. Press pause, have a go at working out your answer, then press play when you're ready to hear the answer. Fantastic work. So, keywords in the question, well, you're told you've got a total of 160 cars and vans. You're told the ratio of cars to vans is 3 to 7. You've got 1/8 of the cars that use electricity, 25% use diesel, and the rest use petrol. You've got to work out the number of cars using petrol. You must show you're working out, otherwise you will not get the full 5 marks. So as soon as it says show you're working out, you must show you're working, otherwise you can't get the method marks. So the answer was actually 30. There are 5 marks here. P1 means a process mark. We have got CAO, which means correct answer only. On the bottom, you've got SC, which means a special case. So if you've got the answer of 100, this B2 means no method is needed. So if you wrote down the number 100, you will get 2 marks for getting the number 100 if P0 is scored. So if you don't get any of these other marks down here, there's a special case for getting the answer of 100, giving you 2 marks if you didn't get any other marks within here. There is a total for 5 marks. You must show your working in order to get the marks, and the final answer was 30. Comment below to let me know how you found the question. Now, geometric progression or geometric sequence is when you multiply sequences by the same number. So if you're doubling a sequence all the time, that's a geometric progression. So this question again is quite a wordy question. Read the question carefully, highlight the key bits of information, work out the answer. The first part is 2 marks, the second part is 1 mark, and then press play when you're ready to hear the answer. So hopefully you've managed to have a think about this question and work out what your answer is. You're told the population at the beginning is n, and at the start of the next year is n plus 1, and it's connected with p of n plus 1 is equal to k times by pn. And you're told that k has a value of 1.13. You've got to work out how many years it takes for the number of insects in the population to double. You must show how you get your answer, and this is worth 2 marks. And then it tells you that k is actually increases on a yearly value of 1.13 in year 1. How does this affect your answer to part A? So see if you can see what the difference is between here, and they are your key bits of information in the question. The mark scheme says that you've got 6 marks here, so M1 is a method mark for attempting 1.13 to the n and coming up with the answer of 6. So there's a method mark and an answer mark. An explanation mark here, so C1 means a communication mark, so you have to use words for an explanation. Any of these answers here are acceptable, these ones down here are not acceptable. So make sure you know what was accepted and what isn't accepted. Again, comment below, let me know how you found this question. If you need this in more detail, just let me know and then I can go through it to give you some help. Now this question is an inversely proportional question. Now sometimes you get more wordy questions with these where you've got to work out what the relationship or what the formula is. In this question you will need to use that formula to work out what is in the missing gaps. So regardless of what the information is, this one is just finding out what the answers are, but sometimes it is more formal. You have to write down the formula and then work out a missing value rather than just working out the missing values like this question here. It's worth 3 marks. Press pause, have a go at working out the answer, then press play when you're ready to hear your answer. Remember, make sure you show you're working out in the space underneath to be able to get these answers here, because you may be able to get a method mark if you don't get the answers correct. So you're told it's inversely proportional and you've got to complete the table. So you should have got answers of t being 20 up in this top box, and then 4 for the first one here and 50 for the next one here. So this is how you worked it out. So you've got 2 method marks here, answer mark here, and CAO means the correct answer only. So you must get these answers exactly right to get the method marks, or to get the answers for the 3 marks here. Comment below to let me know how you found it. Well done. Now, inverse proportional questions can lead to problems, so they're generally more wordy ones. So you've got lava flowing at a constant rate of 11.9, and you've got to work out how many days it takes for 67,205,600 meters cubed of lava to flow from the volcano. So they're the keywords in the question. You can give your answer to the nearest day, and this is worth 3 marks. Press pause, have a go at working out the answer, press play when you're ready to hear the answer. Fantastic work. So hopefully you managed to get an answer of 65. Remembering P1 is a process mark, which is like a method mark to show you the process, so your method for getting this working correct. The A1 is the final answer mark. Give yourself a big tick if you got it correct. Well done. Comment below to let me know how you found the question. Here's a question on percentage change. Read through the question, press pause, and then press play when you're ready to hear the answer. Fantastic. So keywords in the question, well, we've got 70% of people said yes, and 80% of the people who said yes wanted a TV with a large screen. You've got to work out what percentage of people said they wanted a TV with a large screen, and this was worth 2 marks. The mark scheme said the answer was 56. P1 is a process mark or a method mark to show the workings. This is your working. The CAO means correct answer only for getting this answer here, 56. This OE on the right hand side means or equivalent. So 0.56, you could have written it in fraction form rather than written it in decimal form to get the method marks there. Again, comment below to let me know how you found the question. So here we've got another percentage question. Again, the linking the percentages with the ratios are very closely linked. Read the question, press play when you're ready to hear the answer. So hopefully you've managed to have a go at answering the question. So our key bits of information are we've got 8,000 in 1 year. At the end of 1 year, the interest is added. We pay tax on this interest at a rate of 20%, and she pays £28.80 in tax. You've got to work out the percentage interest rate for the account. So hopefully you've managed to find an answer, and the answer should have been 1.8. These P1 are process marks. So this is the method marks here, so read through how to do that information there. And the CAO means correct answer only. So make sure you know how to get the correct answer only, which is 1.8 to get the mark in the exam. If you need any more help or explanation, just comment below and then I can go through it in more detail if you need some more help. So here's another percentage compound interest or growth and decay kind of question. So again, read through the information, press pause, have a go at working out the answer, and then press play when you're ready to hear the answer. So keywords are we've got a house with value of 150,000. It increases by 4% each year, and it's got a value of 160,000. The house increases by 1.5% each year. At the end of 2 years, whose house has the greater value? You must show how you get your answer, and that is for 4 marks. So you should have got an answer of Rachel. Supported means you must show your working. So these 4 marks here must be given clearly in order to be able to get the marks. So for P1 are process marks, and C1 is a communication mark, which means you must use words in order to get this communication mark. So you can't just write down numbers, you have to write with a valid conclusion with supporting comparable figures. So you have to use the numbers and words in order to get this communication mark. So it's about how you communicate. Comment below to let me know how you found the question. Well done. Now, reverse percentage is a typical type of question, and it is pretty much done really badly by most students. Most people work out 5% and then subtract it from the 551 without realising that you've got to go the opposite way. So you're finding the normal price. So it's a real common mistake for people to find 5% of this number and subtract it from there. That will not give you the answer. That will not give you the normal price. So you have to work in the opposite, the reverse. That's why it's called a reverse percentage question. But most students don't spot that this is a reverse percentage question when they read the question in the exam. So have a go at working out the answer and then press play when you're ready to hear the answer. Fantastic. So you've got the discount of 5%. You're paying 551. You're working out the normal price. This keyword here, normal, tells you you're working out what was there originally. So the answer was 580. So you've got a method mark and an answer mark. The CAO means correct answer only. So dividing this 551 by 0.95, remember you've got 5% decrease. So this is written as a multiplier here. You must be able to use your multipliers to make it easier to work out the answer. If you want me to go through it in more detail and show you how to do it exactly, just comment below and then I can go through any questions that you need help with. So here's a ratio question of the ratio 1 to n. Read through the question. You've got to work out the ratio 1 to p. So where p is the same as n, you've got to find the value of p, and this will give you 5 marks in the exam. Press play when you're ready to hear the answer. Fantastic. So keywords in the question are we've got some counters. Selena has twice as many counters as Rick. Tony has 6 counters less than Selima. And in total there are 54 counters. You've got to work out the number of counters Rick has in relation to the number of counters Tony has in the relationship 1 to p. So if you do this with numbers and then divide by whatever's on the left hand side, it will make it in the form 1 to p. And you need to write down the answer of p. Hopefully you've managed to get an answer for p. So get your ratio as it is. So it could be 2 to 6, and then that means you need to divide both sides by 2 to get this to be a 1 on the left hand side. Then that's all that's talking about, this notation here, 1 to p. So the final answer was 1.5. The 5 marks here, P1 is a process mark, A1 is an answer mark. So you must know how to do your working, and this is showing you the method of how to get that answer of 1.5. Make sure you show your working in order to get the marks in the exam. Comment below to let me know how you did. Now the exam boards are asking increasingly more ratio questions over the years, and they like to link 3 different types of ratios. So we've got the letters A, B and C, and you've got to show that A plus B in the ratio B plus C is 17 to 20, and that's 3 marks in the exam. So these are skills with ratios that you need to be able to manipulate. Press pause, have a go at working out the answer, then press play when you're ready to hear the answer. Fantastic. So this is a show. That means you must show all your working in order to get the method marks. And here's the answer. So it's showing that you've got the answer. These are the method marks. Here's my answer mark. This OE means or equivalent. So this is what they're looking for. You could cancel this down, 34 to 40, to give you the 17 to 20. Comment below to let me know how you found the question. So simplifying ratio is normally a very straightforward thing, but on the higher exam paper, they're not going to make it really easy. So they're going to add a lot of words in here and try and make it confusing to work out how to get this answer. So you're looking at these 4 boxes here. It's worth 4 marks. Press pause and press play when you're ready to hear the answer. The keywords are that you've got the total weight of A and B is 3 times the total weight of C and D. The weight of A is 2/3 of the weight of B. The weight of C is 75% the weight of B. And you've got to find the ratio of A to B to C to D, or the weights of each of those. So you should have found your answer was 42 to 30, 63 to 15 to 20. P1 is a process mark and A1 is an answer mark. So they're 3 processor marks. OE means or equivalent. This is where your method marks were awarded for. So make sure you can follow through the mark scheme to know where you've got the 4 marks. If you need more explanation, just comment below. Again, another quite wordy question, but normally recipe style questions, if you break them down, they're fairly straightforward. So make sure you read the question carefully and then press pause when you've got an answer and then press play when you're ready to hear the mark scheme. So the key words of the question were you've got 50 grams of sugar to make 15 biscuits. You're told 3 times as much flour as sugar, twice as much butter as sugar. We're going to make 60 biscuits and you need to work out how much flour is needed for 3 marks. And then all the butter she needs to make 60 biscuits. She buys the butter in 250 gram packs. How many packs of butter does she need for 2 marks? So hopefully you've managed to come up with an answer. And the answer was 600 for part A and 2 for part B. This P1 means a process mark. The A1 here is an answer mark. The CAO means correct answer only, so make sure you get the correct answers here in order to get the method marks. So look through the method here. If you need any more help or more explanation, just comment below and then I can go through the full work solution for you. Now this is a very unusual question because here next to these diagrams here it says the diagram is accurately drawn. It is very unusual to see these words here that the diagram is accurately drawn, which means you can measure on this diagram the radius or the angles or whatever you need to measure on this in order to help you work out the answer. So read the question carefully, look at the 2 diagrams. Now you're probably not going to get exactly the correct answer because my diagram has been scaled down a little bit, so your angles and radius will be slightly out. But when you look at the mark scheme, as long as you've used the correct method, you will get the marks in the exam. So your measurement will be exactly right in the exam. But your answer may be wrong or different to what you're going to see shortly because of measuring on this scale here what the angle is and what the radius is, because if you zoom in and zoom out, then everyone's got a different size because you can zoom in and zoom out. And whether you're looking at it on a phone, a laptop, a computer, whatever it is you're looking at it, you will see the different diagram in different sizes. So it's the method we're interested in on this question rather than the final answer. So have a go. Press pause and then press play when you've got an answer. Remember, it's the method that's important, so make a note of how you get the answer rather than what the answer is. So, keywords, are you looking at the ratio of areas here? Remember, you've got the area of a sector, and the formula for the area of a sector is the angle divided by 360 times pi r squared. So you need to know that formula for the area of a sector. You're looking at the proportion of people that are aged 0 to 19 in Ardley and give your answer to 3 significant figures. So you should have got an answer of 0.119. I would be very surprised if you managed to get exactly the same answer as what the mark scheme shows because your diagram is a different size to probably what it was on the exam. But this P1 is a process mark, so we're interested in the process. So for finding the areas, you'd get a method mark for finding your areas, and then the correct process of following this process here to come up with your answer here. It's the method we're interested in rather than the answer. But that's how we can use our fractions here to be able to use this question. It's a very tricky question, especially when we don't know exactly what the ratio or the angle was initially. You can see the angle here, it's 70, so you can measure your diagram and see if you've got 70 or not. So here we've got a distance time graph, so you can see the distance in the vertical axis and the time in the horizontal axis. You've got 2 bits to answer here, so have a go at reading the question, press pause, work out the answer and then press play when you're ready to hear the answer. So keywords are we've got to work out the speed for the first 15 minutes. we're told at 10:15 Sam stops for 10 minutes, then he drives for 20 minutes at a speed of 75 kilometers, and you've got to complete the time travel graph. So from this point here, what happens next? Does it go down? Does it go straight? Does it go up? What happens after this point here? So you should have been able to draw out the graph, work out what happens, or just screenshot it and then draw it on the diagram for what you've got, and worked out the value of the speed. So the answer for the speed was 80. So M1 is a method mark, A1 is an answer mark, CAO is correct answer only, so make sure you've got the correct answer of 80. Then you've got the travel graph to find the distance for the last 20 minutes. You've got to get the full correct graph to get the full marks. This C is a communication mark, which means you need to use some words to explain what's going on, and you've got to be able to communicate clearly where your line is. So you can see here the points have been clearly written down here to make sure you've drawn your graph correctly. Comment below to let me know how you found this question. This is a value for money question. Again, it's quite a wordy question, worth 4 marks, so make sure you read the question carefully. You can see we've got a ratio in here, so make sure you know how to deal with this ratio within it to work out if you've got enough fertiliser for the 4 tanks. Press pause, have a go at working out the answer, and then press play when you're ready to hear the answer. So we've got 4 tanks. They've got to be completely filled with fertiliser and water. Fertiliser is mixed in a ratio 1 to 100 by volume. We're told we've got 32 litres of fertiliser. You're told the unit 1 litre is 1,000 centimetres cubed. We need to work out if there is enough fertiliser for the 4 tanks, and you must show your working. It is worth 4 marks. If you do not show how to get the answer, you will not get the 4 marks in the exam. So you must show your working nice and clearly. So the mark scheme, okay, is here. The answer was yes, and supported means you must show the reason why. So these are the reasons why here on the right hand side. This P1 is a process mark, so you need to make sure you know the correct process, and the C1 is a communication mark down here. Make sure you know the process and the communication. Have a go at reading through. If you need any help, just comment below and then I can go through it in more detail for you. So this is a reminder of all the topics that are likely to come up on the next exam on Wednesday. So this is paper 3 topics, the ratio and proportion. Make sure you know your stuff. Good luck in the exam. You can do it. Make sure you take your time. Check out the other videos which are on number, algebra, probability and stats and geometry. Look through all of those as well to make sure that you know your stuff and work on the stuff that you don't know, and rather than spending a lot of time practicing what you already do know. Good luck in the exam. Hope it all goes well. Remember, tell your friends. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to share, like and subscribe. Please follow Get Great at Maths on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook and X. What do you want to see next on Get Great at Maths? Please comment below. See you next time.